All right. Hello, everybody. I just wanted to include in my hackathon submission just a quick video overview of some of the stuff that I've been working on and kind of outline some of the code changes that I'm proposing. So here, I just wanted to address some of the idea of storing a lot of these reverse resolved ENS names looked up from the server. And so this is the basic outline of what we're going to try and do. So the basic idea is on the current website, there are a few different locations where whenever you encounter just a raw public key address that's written out on the screen, we wanted to try and render that instead of using just the raw public key. We want to try and use the ENS name if a name exists, if a record exists in the ENS service. And so to do that, I'm proposing because there's not just a single address that's associated with it, it wouldn't just be a single variable inside the app database. And so the idea I proposed is using a lookup address. So having a map inside your app state database, which I'm calling address map or ADDR map. And so checking the particular address against that map to see if a record exists for it currently in the database. And if one exists, then that's great. You can go ahead and render the name to the screen if one exists. Otherwise, it'll just default to putting the address on the screen. Otherwise, the other condition is if no record exists in the address map, then we want to do a query to the Ethereum name service reverse registry to try and get the name. And so if no record exists, again, we'll just return the string version of the address. And then once you get that, we want to create a record for that address in this address map. So that over time, as you're building it up on the site, there will be a map with unique keys for the particular addresses that you want to render. And so just to show quickly how this works, we start off maybe not rendering anything yet, and the address map is empty. And let's say we encounter a new address. Let's say this is the address we want to map. We want to say, does a record exist? And currently no. So that means we have to look it up. And so we query the ENS reverse registry, and we receive a value back, which would be this Vitalik.eth. And so over time, you might encounter another address, say this one, and this happens to correspond to Austin Griffith's Ethereum address. And so over time, you just build up more and more. Eventually, you might come to one that doesn't have a record associated with it. And so here, it's just mapping back to the exact same address that was put in. All right. And so that is that. So let me show you a quick version of my local code base. So I'm going to do this running the line figwheel command. This will take just a moment for it to boot up. But as it's building, I just wanted to say that this local repo is just a proof of principle of how this process can work. And I'm in the process of updating the actual Memefactory code base, and I'm going to do a pull request shortly. All right, so looks like that's been built. And so here I can go to localhost and see what that looks like. All right, great. So this came up. And so this just shows two different instances on a web page where you've encountered an address. And then the ENS name here is just defaulted to the address name because the record didn't exist. And then that's what it shows down here. And so I made it so that if you click on it, it'll automatically copy the address to the clipboard for you. And then down here, we have a case where you do have an address. Or again, this is the one corresponding to Vitalik's. And so down here, this is what renders in this dark blue box for this particular record, this address. And so, but you'll notice if you click it, it'll copy not the actual name version, but the full public key address. And so you'll notice down here, this is keeping track of the address map. And so because this page is rendered and it had two addresses in it, you have two records in the address map. So one is just this one address mapped to itself, and then the second one is the one mapped to Vitalik. So what happens if we say update one of the addresses on the page? And so I'm gonna do that here by clicking change address. And so when I do that, keep an eye on the address up here. And so I do that. All right, so that gives me a new address right here. And the ENS name is not rendered yet because I have to do an event to add the address to the database. When I do that, and you could kick off that event automatically later, then that adds this new record to our address map, and then you see it's mapped to Austin Griffith. All right, and so that's the basic functionality that I have so far for doing this ENS reverse resolution, and I'm in the process of adding it to the Memefactory repo. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to me on my GitHub page. I'm Gitty Physicist there. And thanks for your time.